As people talk about scandal everywhere, some are even claiming that what's happening in Ottawa right now is akin to Watergate. One such person would be Sun News contributor and columnist Warren Kinsella. But while Kinsella sings controversy in Ottawa, he's ignoring the scandal in his old sandbox, the Ontario legislature, known as Queen's Park. A new report out today, it details attempts by political staffers in the former Premier's office and the office of the former Minister of Energy to circumvent the law on open government and make sure they were not connected to the billion-dollar cancellation of gas plants. We've told you about this story before. Ontario Liberals cancelling power plants to save Liberal seats. Decisions made at the political level, but yet no records found in those offices. Ontario's Information Commissioner Anne Cavoukian can tell us why. Even when ordered to produce documents on this billion-dollar boondoggle, nothing could be found. A quote from the report: "The failure to comply with the records retention requirements of the ARA, coupled with a culture of avoiding the creation of electronic records, assists in explaining the apparent paucity of documents relating to gas plants closures produced by the offices of the former Ministry of Energy and the former Premier." Warren Kinsella joins me now from Toronto. Warren, it looks like there was this idea of don't write anything down, that way nobody can connect us to anything. Is that fair game in running a government?
Well, in fairness to political staffers, and I used to be one, both federally and provincially, we're often the ham and the sandwich. On the one hand, federally, we have things like the Official Secrets Act, or I guess it's called the Information and Security Act now, where it says you can be prosecuted for disclosing or holding on to secrets. And then on the other hand, you have the Information Commissioner running around, as she's doing in Ontario today, sounding hysterical and like John Gomery, saying, you know, how dare you delete records, delete emails. And so, I think
it
it's
actually
fair.
does go against the Act for them.
Yeah,
that's
the
one of the
Archives
things
Act.
she found.
The Archives Act, big deal.
Well, the Archives Act and the Freedom of Information Act.
But here's the conflict.
You're supposed to be able to
submit
to get information, and they can't because, well, they just deleted everything.
But brother, here's the Conflict of Interest Act. Section 17 says you shall not disclose confidential information obtained during the course of your employment. So which is it? You know,
well,
she's got this self-inflating. Just wait. It is hysterical. It is over the top. I talked to one of the people she goes after in the report. That guy, Jameson Stevie, didn't even get a phone call from her. She didn't even bother to try and get his side of the story. I think it looked like a hatchet job right from the get-go, and shame on her.
The two main people she talked to, McLennan and I believe it's Livingston, who went into the Premier's office.
Yeah, Craig and David.
Okay. So she's asking them, well, where are the records? McLennan says, well, I just deleted all my emails. Government officials are not supposed to delete their emails like that. They are to be archived for freedom of information. If you do not have a record of how anything is kept, you cannot have freedom of information. This has been going on for a couple of decades now, Warren. You can't claim that this is a hatchet job. They were circumventing the law by, one, refusing to write down how they arrived at a major decision, and two, deleting any traces of it. They couldn't even get the computer technicians to reconstruct it.
Ask me a question.
The question is this fair game? They're breaking the law. Shouldn't they be punished?
Well, I just pointed out another law that says the exact opposite. But in the case of Craig, what he said to her, let me finish. You asked me a question. Now let me answer it. Number one, she actually untypically gave him an opportunity to respond to her questions. He said, number one, I delete every email. I delete emails asking, what I'm going to be having for dinner tonight. So it wasn't just gas plants. It was all of it. And number two, he pointed out to her, and she gives it no coverage in her report, what happens in government? Reply all. Officials had copies of the emails. He said, why do I have to maintain copies of emails when they're doing it down in the officials?
That's the law. Let me read another quote from the report here. Another quote from Anne Cavoukian. She says, it is truly troubling and hard to believe, quite frankly, that there's any reasonable explanation for the fact that the Minister of Energy's office could produce absolutely no records in response to the Speaker's ruling. You've got the Minister of Energy's office ordered by the Speaker to turn over documents about the cancellation of gas plants, and their response is, we have none?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Here's
that
another
is
quote.
not acceptable.
Here's another quote from her. I cannot state that there was an inappropriate deletion of emails in an effort to avoid transparency and accountability. So she's sucking and blowing at the same time. I think her report is ridiculous. It reminds me of John Gomery.
This is a bigger scandal than anything happening in Ottawa right now.
It is not.
Deletion of emails.
It is
hiding
not.
of facts. $585 million and growing.
Okay, well, the RCMP...
Warren, you screwed the taxpayer to save seats politically and deleted the emails.
Dude, the RCMP is looking at Mike Duffy and the Conservative Party.
And the cops should be looking into this.
Well, they're not here, so it's not a bigger scandal.
Not yet.
You're wrong.
Not yet,
Sorry.
but they should be.
I hate disagreeing with you. It makes me sad.
$585
It makes me sad to disagree with you, but I must on this occasion.
It doesn't make you sad at all. They used to give you your paycheck.
They did not.
I
was a volunteer.
You were a volunteer.
I was a volunteer.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we'll have to end it there, but hopefully someday soon, very shortly, there will be that police investigation.
No, there won't
Email me your thoughts on this. Byline @sunmedia.ca. More to come.